The following movie is rated I.
Check this out, boys. Another BLUETTI portable power station to review. In Cheezy's garage. Welcome to the cheesiest reviewer on YouTube.
Think I'm bluffing?
That's right. Let's see what this beauty looks like. It's a BLUETTI EB3A. And it comes with a 110 volt cord. And that's it. As you know, BLUETTI has a real good reputation. This is a 268 watt hour, 600 watt unit. They give you a 2-year hassle-free warranty and 1 year on the cables. Pretty good. So this is your warranty policy if you want to fill it out. You can also fill it out online at BLUETTI.com. There's all the locations they have all over the world. So they're quite large. These are great. If you have an oxygen machine, if the power goes out, this will run it for quite a while. Or one of those lift chairs, or the electric beds. It's just an awesome backup unit to have if the power goes out. This also sports the LiFePO4 lithium battery, which is like one of the best on the market. So it's a 600 watt rated unit with a 1200 watt surge. It's got a DC output socket with a 10 amp rating. These are also 10 amps. You have 2 USB-A, 3 amp, 5 volt DC, and 1 USB-C at 100 watts. 9 amp max, 120 volts. It's got a 10 amp circuit breaker for the input. It takes an MPPT input, which is solar for charging, or you can get the 12 volt adapter that plugs into that. And then you have your 120 volt output section, which is 600 watts. Let's see what the screen looks like. Ah, pretty nice. It's got a different type of interface. That's pretty. It has light. SOS. DC is on. Has a wireless charging for Android or iPhone.
I'd buy that for $1.
Let's charge it up to 100% and run some tests on it. Notice this doesn't have a charging block, which makes it a little more convenient for carrying around. You don't have to worry about carrying a charging block. Could you charge it right through here? Ah, it says UPS on it, which means you can use it as a backup unit while it's plugged in. That's nice too. So if you want to keep this to back up your computer or any other type of equipment, it'll do that. That's a pretty good idea. It says 0.3 hours to charge. About 20 minutes. We'll come back and we'll check. Apparently BLUETTI has an app for this, so we're going to download that and see what we could do with it. So look up BLUETTI on the App Store. I'll be doing this on my Android. It's a little triangle. Looks like a blue protractor. So let's open the app. We'll turn this unit on. It found it already. You can put the AC power on and off, and a DC power on and off, and it looks like you can even shut the power off, but I won't do that till the end. It has a grid, and it also has the solar PV photovoltaic cell. Let's put some draw. Put the AC off. That's pretty neat. So let's put a little DC current draw on it and see what it does on the app. 6 watts, 34 watts. Yeah, that's pretty neat. You can control this from the app. What's that, Gizmo? Let's try 120 volt draw. We'll plug in a fan. I don't think Gizmo's gonna like it, but plugged in the fan. We'll turn on the AC. Pretty neat. Let's see what settings this will do. Oh, now there's how you would change the economy mode, apparently. So now economy is off. Working mode. Standard, turbo, or silent. Silent slows the speed of the fan to reduce noise. There's a turbo. Swiftly charge to full at 430 watts max. Charging rate. Always keep your device ready to go. Note, recommended to activate this only when urgent power is needed. Alright, so turbo mode's turned off to save the battery. Gizmo mode. Power lifting. Enable power lifting 1200 watts max. Heating devices. Pure resistive load. The rated output power remains 600 watts. Do not power refrigerator, air conditioner, etc. So you can't do a air conditioner or a refrigerator when you're in powerlifting mode, apparently. Let's see if there's a firmware upgrade. I don't see. I click on it and there must not be a firmware upgrade. LED light. Medium. High. SOS. And off. Well, it's pretty neat. So if I plug this in, it'll show me the charging rate. Let's see. It's plugged in. No, it's fully charged. It did pop up to 50 watts. It's pretty impressive. It's the first time I've ever seen that. Turn off the DC. Let's power off. Oh. Abort input grid and try powering off. Okay. I believe it said you had to be within 30 feet because it is Bluetooth. Alright, we're all charged up. Let's see what sine wave we get out of this one. And frequency. Definitely a nice clean sine wave, that's for sure. Just for reference, this is what a non-sine wave cheap inverter signal looks like. Let's plug this in. We'll see if it affects the voltage when we plug this in, because it is a UPS. Actually, that's looking a little weird, isn't it? I wonder if it's trying to clean up the signal. Let me unplug it. There. Now it's coming right from the inverter. And then plug it back in. That's plugged back in. So if I had to guess, that's the outside power. So it's not really cleaning up the power coming in while it's plugged in 110, like a typical UPS unit would do. Let me check the outside power to see how that is. So that's the outside. I wonder what those weird little spikes are. Maybe it's trying to level it off? I don't know. That was a little strange. Maybe one of you guys know. Back to this. See what we get for voltage. So that's showing 130 volts RMS. Let's see what the frequency is here. 60 hertz, locked dead on. I had to blow the dust off my old Variac unit here. What a Variac does is it'll go from 0 to 140 volts. Used to use them on the old tube TVs and other electronic equipment. Find faults. Don't mind my messy electronics bench. So the first thing I want to do is run this up to 120 volts. That's close enough. So we're at 119.4 volts. Let's plug this into the portable power supply. Since this is a UPS, I want to see when the voltage is going to pick up from the outside voltage drop. So that's at 119.2 running through the portable power supply, which is also a UPS. I'm going to run this variac down and see when it's going to click off. Kicked off already? No. There we go. So at about 103 volts it kicked off. Turn it back up, see when it kicks on. At 116, 117 volts. So that seems to be working properly. When it's in UPS mode, the UPS flashes. Let's go into oscilloscope mode. Still has that weird noise in there. So let's drop the voltage. You can see it dropping. And it just picked up UPS. UPS mode is flashing, so the UPS is on. Let's turn it back up. It just clicked back to external power. So that seems to be working correctly. Now let's do the fan test. That's with the one fan on. We'll plug in the other fan. Well, tripped it. Well, what do you know? Overload. So let's start them at low. We'll keep that one at high. Medium, high. Alright, well, it's almost 500 watts. It is now 11:10. Come back in about 15 minutes. So by the battery size, I guess it's only going to run about a half an hour. It just dropped down. So it's 11:15, it's been 5 minutes. We're at 81%. It's 11:21. And we got 0.3 hours left, so let's see. Alright, I wasn't ready. The fan shut off and then there was a little red thing up there. I couldn't read it. I don't know what caused that. I guess we'll start up again and I'll just have to keep recording. That's the one fan. It's 11:23 right now. Oh, what's that say? Battery? Well, that's not good. I'm gonna have to look up what that means, but I believe it's probably a overheated battery. Because the size of the battery compared to what the output of this unit is, it's basically less than half the size. Because it has a 289 watt hour battery running 600 watts. But it should be able to run it consistently, and I was not running 600 watts, as you see. So we'll complete the test. I don't know which one draws more. That one's 177 watts. This fan here draws more, so. Oh yeah, a lot more. That one draws about 290 watts. We're at 50%. Well, it tripped it again. It must have a battery problem. That must mean battery overheat. Let's look it up. It smells like it's warm too. Now you know what's funny is I don't know if maybe this fan isn't blowing. There's no air vents underneath, so it's not that. There's nothing that's even hot on here either though. I think those are the batteries. I could definitely smell something's warm. Alright, according to the book, C is low battery alert. So it shut down on low battery. Oh, why did it say it was still like, it showed there was plenty of battery. What it was, what'd that run, about 15 minutes? Find out when I edit the video. It says 0% battery, so, but I still don't know whether this fan came on. fan isn't stuck because I moved it with this tie wrap. I guess we'll let it charge up again. Put it under a little bit of a load. See if this will operate while it's plugged in. It should. No, that fan's not working. Might have a defective unit here, boys. Now all of a sudden, this fan kicked on as it was charging for no reason. So I guess the fan does work. Oh yeah, I feel it. And blowing out here. Definitely pretty warm. So apparently this unit is operating correctly. It just ran out of battery. And that's a downside because I'm a little disappointed. It's rated at 600 watts, 268 watt hours. Technically it should run a half an hour, and that was 15 minutes. We'll let it charge up again. So we're charged up. It was 100%, but of course I didn't have my video on, so let's start this again. That's one fan. That's the other fan. Didn't kill it. So 12:45. I ran it for a minute. Sorry about that. My camera didn't start. We'll keep an eye on it for a little while. Alright, it's been 5 minutes. Says 0.4 hours it's gonna run. It's at 87%, so it's holding. Let's see what we got. 10 minutes, 67% battery. We'll see. We're at the 12-minute mark. This is where it just cut off last time. The fan is running. Maybe just needed one cycle on the battery to recalibrate. They said it may have been off calibration, so shut it off. Make sure it's at 0 and charge it 100%. So maybe that was it, which I'd be happy with, because then if someone else had that issue, they know how to solve it. Coming up on 15 minutes, and it's saying 0.3 hours left. 49%. Died at 50% battery last time. I feel the heat, but it's not hot. Boy, that percentage meter's dropping quick. Going down. 16 minutes now. Starting to tax that battery a little. 17 minutes. $18-minute mark. 0.1 hours left. Coming up on 20 minutes. 21 minutes. 22 minutes on the button right now. 23 minutes. 24 minutes. 25 minutes. 26 minutes. 27 minutes. That's it. 27 minutes. And you can hear the fan. Well, that was pretty good. 27 minutes. It might have made 28 minutes if I didn't have to unplug and plug the fans in and do that surge again. Close to a half hour. I'm happy with that. What's that flashing down there? Oh, temperature. So it actually shut down on temperature. About 75 out right now, and in the garage where we are. That wasn't too bad. It did shut down on temperature though. Where it had 6% battery, it probably would have went over half an hour. I think this was more designed for a UPS. You know, once the voltage gets low on these batteries, it draws more amperage, so I'm sure that's what created more heat. Still not a bad unit. See, it's mostly an overcast day. I'll still try the solar panel and see what it does. Maybe that's why it's not doing it. It's still on temp overload. The temperature warning must be the battery, because it still allows you to use the AC and the DC circuit. So to clear that temp warning, you had to unplug this, turn the power off totally. We're charging back up, 259 watts. So let's try that solar charger. See if we can get this to charge off the 100-watt panel now. There we go. So we're doing 21 watts. The sun isn't out direct, it's not really shining. For an overcast day, 21 watts, 22 watts. We'll see what it does when the sun comes out. I'll come back over. Sun is out pretty strong right now, putting out 41 watts. It says 6.5 hours to full charge from 7%. We'll let it charge up off the sun for a while. It's not full sun, but it's pretty close to full sun. I'm back plugged into the 110 volt wall outlet, and it's saying 0.9 hours to charge at 11%, 0.8 now. It does have a pretty fast charger, but the battery is kind of small, half the size of the 600 watt unit, a little less. Let's do a 12 volt test. I'll run my little refrigerator off of this. So it looks like it's drawing about, well, between 32 and 35 watts at a 12.9 volt output. And according to this, it'll run that refrigerator for 8.9 hours. So it'll run that 1 watt light at 30 hours at low, and it'll run it for 30 hours on high, which is 2 watts. So that 30 hour mark is probably the highest it has on the gauge. I have a little fan right here. I want to see what that'll draw in wattage. Put it up to high. So that fan draws 3 watts and it'll run for 30 hours plus. Looks like 6 3/4 inches deep, 10 inches wide, and 7 1/4 inches to the bottom of the rubber feet. The unit's not very heavy, probably because it only has a 268 watt hour battery. But this unit weighs in at 7 pounds 15 ounces. To change from 60 hertz to 50 hertz, you hold the power for the 12 volt and the power for the 120 volt, and then you select with the 120 volt power button, then hold M2 to set it. To set economy mode, since I did turn it off, go into settings mode, hold the DC and the 120 volt at the same time, then hit the power button, and that will turn your economy on and off. We'll leave it on. To see the software code numbers, press the 3 buttons at once for 2 seconds. When you hold the power and the light button, it goes into a different mode, and I'm not exactly sure what that is. The 110 volt and light button at the same time. This will show the error code stored in the unit. To power off the unit, you just hold the power button for a few seconds and it'll shut everything off. So my final thoughts on this: I think it's a good, solid unit. It's probably best served as a UPS. I think that they should have used a larger battery, in my opinion, rather than a 268 watt battery powering a 600 watt inverter. But I'm sure they did that to keep the cost down. My first load test, I believe the battery was definitely out of calibration because it shut off at 55%. But then when I plugged it in to charge it, it was at 0%. So that was probably just some little hiccup. After it charged from 0% to 100 and I did the test, it went 27 minutes. I'm sure a 600 watt draw on a 268 watt hour battery is pretty taxing. So that's probably why it shut down on thermal. or as they say, temperature. And the UPS feature, I would say, is the strong side if you want to use this as UPS, uninterruptible power supply. But the best part of it is if something is wrong, you get a 2-year warranty, hassle-free, and 1 year on the cables, which this only has one cable, which is power. I do like that it has the power supply built in, because all you have to worry about is one cable, and it's a common computer cable, so you can get that anywhere. Solar charging is a plus if you're off the grid for whatever reason. It did what it was intended to do. When I contacted BLUETTI about shutting down with that temperature indicator on, they said to try the test at a lower wattage, but my feeling is if it's claiming 600 watt output, it should pull that 600 watt all the way down until that battery's dead. Also, this fan may not have been working correctly when it shut off with the battery error on the first load test, because I did notice this battery did not come back on until it was charged up a couple percent on the battery, and then this kicked on. So I don't know if that's a software thing, or I don't know. I like the wireless charging feature. Some of these units don't have that. So if you're looking for a unit like this, I'll have the links in the description below and also on MotoCheez.com. So thanks again for watching the Cheezy's reviews on YouTube.
Hey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Hit that bell if you want new notifications on new videos. Links for products used are in the description and on MotoCheez.com. Thanks for watching.